I thought I had shown you the Fuji book.
Oh, I think he did. Yeah,
Huh?
yeah.
Because I finally kept wondering how come people don't know where this all started. I mean, if you start in 1942 with World War II, where they were all taken up in internment camps, was 125,000 people, just because of the way they looked.
Yep.
And the Chinese were wearing "I am Chinese" button, and because it was just specifically that, or the Italians and the Germans. And I think that's why who I was just speaking with, whose dad was a big grower in Chile, that's why his dad went to, he was Italian, right? Went to South America.
Oh, wow.
A lot went to South America. There's a whole German community down there. But don't look in here. I don't know if Brooks started stuff in here or not.
So the history of this hotel started in 1910?
The hotel started, yes, 1910. And it was the first Asian architect in Seattle. So I could never understand that business of, it was a big mystery to me, a big question, how do you tell people about how this all started and how significant it is and what it means? So Bobby and Susan Hori came up, and Mr. and Mrs. Hori had 10 urns at the house. You're welcome, Todd, enjoy. And they said, oh, we have to bury these people. And so they were going to bury them, and they wanted me to go with them. So I went out to the cemetery, and it's like you go out I-5, get off at Northgate, go under the freeway, turn right, first left. And when I saw this, when I went in there, do you want me to show you or forget it?
Oh, sure.
I thought, oh my gosh, this is it. This is the tangible part of it, where you can say this, how it started. And, well, I'll leave it at that. And these are all family names, and a lot of them I knew the family names, but they're like from the 1800s.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, wow, that's it. This one was 1882. This is who started Seattle, right? Mm-hmm. And what was that one? 1894.
Yeah.
They must have been married.
Uh-huh.
But it's just 1887, 1895. Wow. Nakashima. So anyway, I thought finally I found the beginning, the source, right, of the footprint, the foundation. And because that's where it starts with everything. And isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
So I wanted you to see that, so you know from then on what I'm talking about with the baths or the trunks or the building. You have a better idea of what's going on in my head anyway, kinda. That's a big family. The Horis were funny. I did it with that. But so anyhow, I saw a sign out there. It said Fuji Boulevard. And at the base of it, it talked about, I think I told you that one, about this young man that came at the age of 17, was working on a dairy farm in Tacoma in the 1800s, late 1800s, with his dad. And that's when Japan was changing the economy. And so everybody was immigrating, like all immigrants do. They go off to find a better life, so to help their families and stuff. And so he saw this opportunity and went back to Japan and was responsible for 500 people coming to work. And then, so they needed a place to live. Hotels. This is where this started. And Mr. Hori, who I bought the building from, was really big on the Hotel Association. Now I know why and how it happened. It was all the Japanese Americans that were running these hotels. There was 250. And then lately there was, I think it was Nellie Fuji sent me an email, and there was 136 grocery stores in the neighborhood, downtown Seattle. Only 136. And there were some families here looking. They had a map. I didn't get their map, but they were going like on a hunt for their family. So this is why I'm saying the Japanese American Museum of Seattle and the Northwest. There were so many people that the roots were from Seattle, and then they went off someplace else. But what I really like about this is back here, if I'm turning pages too fast. Oh, and they had the Fuji Hotel. It's where Hinghei Park is now, the Fuji Hotel. That's what they started. The family tree. And I had a birthday party for her. And that's Nellie Fuji's her husband. He's a big accountant guy. So the two of them. But anyhow, the people that were at the birthday party signed it for me. But it was this guy who started it.
So the Panama was one of several hotels that he
Yeah.
designed? And were they
Well, not designed, but it was built to house.
Ah, okay.
And I mean, there's 102 rooms in here. And they called them single room occupancy for laborers and stuff like that. Well, like the fishermen that were at Dutch Harbor. And so they worked. It was all working. I don't know how much tourists were involved, but I'm the one that started the tourist part of the building. But I still house people. And there's still fishermen that come by. Not since the pandemic, I haven't seen any. But so I did find out how it all started, and this was amazing to me. He started the Hotel Association. And Susan, the daughter, was just up here. And she wants to fix their house and sell it. And I know they have a lot of stuff in there that they took out of here. I said, I want the hotel books, Susan. The Hotel Association, the books.
So most of the...
By the way, there's only 5 of these books.
Wow.
She finally gave me this one.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So most of the early residents of these hotels were Japanese American residents up to the war years or even past?
Pretty much. I mean, labor.
Uh-huh.
I mean, everybody was working, right? The fishing, timber,
Cannery workers. And...
the nurseries, dairy farms. They produced all the dairy. And then Mr. Hori gave me a book that was about how, who's going to run all this stuff? Where are you going to get the produce and the dairy? Because they were using the market. And who's going to supply all this stuff if we're all going to camps? He was born down near Centralia, Chehalis. His dad was working the lumber mills, and he went like this. His dad hurt himself. He went like this. So they moved to Seattle. Mr. Hori was 3. And his dad bought apartment buildings north of Yesler. And then he went to Bailey Gatzert, Broadway High School, University of Washington, majored in accounting, graduated. His dad encouraged him to buy this building, and that was 1938. He kept telling me it was 39 because he wasn't legal in 1938. And his daughter told me something about that, and I said, yeah, Susan, well, my dad wasn't legal in the country, and I'm sure glad they were both here, right? And so this is the 1960 Hotel Association booklet. This was what Mr. Hori was really active in, and I never had a foundation for where this was or what it was about, but he was active in this till the day he died, even after he left the hotel. All his buddies.
And you were saying that when you bought the hotel, it wasn't he was very selective on who he wanted to sell the hotel to, right? That you had to go through a kind of like an internship process.
That was how, when Susan said that to me, when I said that, she said, Dad looked for you for 14 years, Jan, before he, because there was other people that wanted to buy it.
You.
Yeah, yeah.
Did he ever tell you why he selected you?
That's what I said, why? Why me? And one time I asked him, he just kind of cocked his head like this. He said, well, I knew you were capable, Jan. And I think that was from the time that I saw him and I said I wanted to buy it, I had no idea what I was doing, but I just knew that the building needed to be saved because it was so important. It was just amazing to me that none of this timber had ever been painted. it was built with natural daylight and recycling, and I grew up that way, sort of. And I thought it was just pretty amazing in the Northwest.
So you fell in love with this place right away.
Oh yeah, and then the trunks in the basement and the bathhouse was still there. But then when I was in Italy, and that's where I learned about World War II, and I thought, how come we don't know anything about this? You know, we were in that war.
Yeah.
And there was nothing that I knew about it, and I learned it all there. I mean, it was pretty amazing, some of the stories that
They
people
kept more
told me.
history intact there.
I beg your pardon?
They kept more of the history intact.
Oh yeah, and you could see where things were bombed out. There were bunkers. You could see the difference in architecture in Nuremberg. I called it like South Lake Union in Pioneer Square, right? And but there it was like bombed and the old architecture. But at stories like somebody said that when the Americans came through and they would throw them chewing gum and they would eat it. Now, how many times did your mom tell you not to swallow your gum? And I mean, that made a big impression on me. I thought they were eating it like food. And the Contessa, where I had this apartment near the Fontana di Trevi, I had a beautiful ceiling. It was all beamed off and frescoed. And there was something up there. And I called her and she said, oh, in the war we had chickens up there in the attico. And then she's going down this grandioso staircase and she said, we had cows on the third floor. Yeah, the Contessa Premoli, cows on the third floor. And because they were hiding things so they could eat, right? And I thought, so I just learned so much.
Yeah.
So when I came back here and saw this building, and I thought, dang, it's never been touched in 1910. It's so perfect. And then this is, somebody sent me this. Somebody was actually interested. I don't know if they're still interested in the building, but they sent me this. This was his grandfather that he never met, and he dedicated the Stockton Buddhist Church. By the way, that Fuji, this one, he started the church up here,
Oh, wow.
and that's over 100 years old.
The church where the Bonadori is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And yeah, if you go up there, everybody knows that it was Fuji.
Yeah.
And so anyhow, when this person in California sent me this letter of his grandfather that he had never met, designating the church in Stockton, it sounds just like this. It was built for the community. And to be grateful for the people who built it and to go into the future and how the children would grow and learn. And so that's what's happening with the Panama now. The children that come here and learn, you see them reading the boards out there and everything. But anyway, Gail Dubrow, who wrote the Cento on Sixth and Main book, which is an amazing book, I called her up because I sent the person that's interested and his mother, she was born in a camp. I sent him that book. And that's why he immediately sent me this letter, because his grandfather's in Gail's book. And so when I called Gail and said, that sounds just like the Panama. And she said, duh. So anyhow, I got all of this from that.
Oh, neat.
More information. This was a letter that was down in the trunks. Am I doing too much?
No.
You're going to cut whatever, right?
Yep.
This was heart for me because he just says, Dear Dad, it's April. I don't have any glasses. And it's kind of a funny print. Can anybody read it? Read it out loud. The date?
Let's see. April 8th, 1942. Dear Dad, we've gotten pretty far with our preparation for what is
You
that
got-
called?
It's not a good copy, but his penmanship is really good.
Yeah. I'm just having trouble making out what that word is.
Let me see. Who's got it? Heaven's got it.
This word here.
Evacuation.
Evacuation. There we go.
Everything has been packed
Yep.
and kept open and
That's it.
never sent.
Hmm.
So
finished.
no.
Yeah.
So when the National Treasure came in and they got a huge grant to document stuff in the basement. When they came in, they found this letter, and then they asked if they could contact this person. They found a way. There was a trunk and everything, and I said sure. So they just sent him pictures, and he wrote back, and he said he was 8 years old when he was in camp, and so how old would he be now?
Yeah.
Hmm?
Let's see, 42, 60, 80,
Yeah.
almost 90.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he said he's grateful for whoever saved this because now he got closure.
Wow.
And that brought me to tears when he said that, when he
Yeah.
sent me the letter. To imagine just this one person that his whole life there was something that wasn't
Wasn't finished.
finished, and now it had.
Yeah.
And he said that the way his mother wrote on their trunk, the old calligraphy, was very special to him. And so anyway, and then I wrote back and asked if he would like to come and stay as a guest in the hotel.
Nice.
Didn't hear, but anyhow, and then this restaurant is outside of Tokyo, and it's done by the same architect, and so they have this story. And Yuri, who wrote the little book downstairs, she just had lunch there, and they've invited me.
Oh, nice.
And they send me little things periodically when people go there. They, like this, I think, came from them. And it's this villa.
Very cool.
This was Saburo Zaza's sort of like a family tree. He's the young man that came here via Australia. I don't know how old he was. He must have been a baby. And I went to high school in Spokane. He has some sort of connection with Mr. Ota, who bought the property. This is the only building that's been on this property. But this was his family tree from the 1500s in Japan. And it goes down to here. And I think that's the end of it there. He died at a very young age in Tokyo, 40, I think. And I just wanted to, before we get to that, I see Italian-American internment, a German-American internment. But this is all stuff that needs to be in a museum. But this is Keiko that went to Japan and got a lot of this information for me. And then we're going to get to the rooms. I just want to show you this. I put it away. This is where Saburo Saza was from. I think it's he was from the Nagasaki prefecture. Here's Tokyo. And that's him. This is his profile. In 1903, he entered Oregon State University. In 1907, graduated and had the Oregon Railroad Company. But anyhow, he opened his office in the Central Building in Seattle. That was all in 1908. He went back to Japan in 1911, but he did this building in 1910. I don't know if it says that on there. This is some of the things that he did. We're getting to the good part, too. You can come back and get more of this stuff if you ever want. That's his report card from Oregon State. That's that building that he did outside of Tokyo that Yuri just had lunch in. This is in that building. You can see the similarity of the Panama, the hallways. Look at this.
Yeah.
It's and how he reflects with the light again, light. Natural daylight, and that he did. It was because he majored in mining engineering. But what I think this is what I think is very, and they started recognizing him in 2012. The assets of his work. But this is what I think is interested. The 1913, the Western style of architects that fit to Japanese climate and its culture. He's designing with climate and culture in 1913. Wow. Huh? Do you think this building is important? Yeah, because it's one of the only ones that he did. And this one, 1911. What does he say here? This was an interview of him. How he put without any holes in the wood. I don't like to put holes in wood.
Yeah.
So anyhow, this is, there's a lot of things here of different people, and that hotel book is really important. Susan, that's what I asked her. I said, Susan, do you have the hotel books down there at the house? That's what I want.